and welcome, America, to another groundbreaking SKBJ News Team Special Report. Last week, we took you inside the shocking and dangerous world of the loofah industry and showed you how you can protect your family when loofahs become out of control. But this week's report is even more hair-raising than the last. Isn't that right, Kelsey?
Well, that's right, Sam. This week's report, Prohibition, the War on Drugs, just like any other war, this has its pros, cons, motives, and consequences. In the next 10 minutes, the SKBJ News Team will take you on a journey through time featuring expert opinions, facts, and the impact that Prohibition and the new war on drugs has had on our country.
My toes are already tingling from the suspense, Percy.
I know, but hold that thought. Because before our journey gets underway, we go to our historical expert, Ashley, for a quick lesson on what Prohibition actually is, and the stepping stones that led to making alcohol legal. Ashley?
Prohibition of alcohol, or simply prohibition, is the laws and enforcement that prohibit the selling and manufacturing of alcoholic beverages. The United States was far from the first country to adopt these ideas. In fact, around and before the 18th Amendment was put into effect on January 17, 1920, several countries, including Russia, Finland, and Norway, also banned booze. While many proponents of prohibition clamored for a more noble and peaceful alcohol-free country, it was enacted for a plethora of reasons, including those of economical, political, medical, and social type.
Indeed it was, expert. And so, to get the people's true opinion on Prohibition and the reasons for it, we sent our own reporter, Bill, back in time to do some interviews. Take it away, Bill.
Thanks, fellas. I'm here in early 1900s Washington, D.C. in order to gain people's perspectives on the possibility of banning alcohol, and to show off my cool 21st century cell phone. On a more relevant note, I've interviewed a diverse bunch of citizens in order to gain unique perspectives on the possibility of prohibition. This is what I've found. I'm here with our resident economics expert, Jimmy John, with his thoughts on prohibition.
Thanks, Bill. Personally, I think prohibition would be a very stabilizing thing for our country's economy. Families would no longer be spending money on drinks where they could spend it on rent, food, and other things. Secondly, our country would no longer be bringing in expensive overseas imports. And thirdly, business efficiency would increase by ensuring that our workers are sober while they're at work.
Here with current Senator Lisa Paris and her thoughts on prohibition.
I support the fight for prohibition because it will save our country money. Don't ask me how, but be sure to vote for me in the next election. Lisa Paris for a cleaner America.
Thank you, Lisa. Jane Average, what are your thoughts on prohibition?
I 100% support prohibition. Alcohol has torn my family apart, as well as many other families. I can hardly pay the bills or put food on my table because all my husband wants to do is take his check and get drunk. Family life is getting harder and harder to thrive because of all the alcohol abuse in our nation.
Thank you. On the scene here with Joe Average and his thoughts on prohibition. Joe?
I think that the government doesn't have no right to tell me what I can spend my hard-earned money on. I like having a drink every now and then after a hard, stressful day at work. And there's nothing wrong with that. And it's stressful enough without having to worry about the government taking away my freedoms as an American.
Thank you, Joe. Dr. McCracken, what are your thoughts on prohibition?
I think that prohibition can only be good. I mean, the health risks from alcohol are so widespread that if alcohol is banned, we'll waste so much less money on treating people that made themselves sick, and everyone can live a happier, healthier life.
Thank you. As you can see, prohibition is tending to gain the support of the people. And don't worry, even though I'm from the future, I didn't ruin the surprise for any of our friends from the past, even though I know prohibition was going to come into law. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Bill. The 18th Amendment may have put a temporary hold on the distribution of alcohol, but the American people will not go sober for long.
Right you are, Kelsey. The intent of prohibition did not end up matching the final result, and in less than 4 amendments later, alcohol was legal once again. For an in-depth look at why prohibition failed, and what the actual results were, we sent our very own Bill, a reporter, to have a sit-down chat with Ronald McDonald, an expert on American drug and alcohol policy. Let's listen in.
So, Mr. McDonald, in your own words, what were the effects of Prohibition, and how did it eventually become repealed?
Well, Bill, it failed for many reasons. The original intent was to help the country, as well as individual families, save money and live more noble lives. But as soon as alcohol was outlawed, bootleggers began to manufacture their own brews and sold them on the black market. During Prohibition, approximately $11 billion were lost in federal liquor tax revenues, and another $300+ million was spent trying to enforce the new regulations. Basically, the opposite of the expected outcome happened. Instead of saving money, the country lost out on revenue, and instead of lowering crime, it created a lucrative business for criminals to take control of.
Wow. And how did most people respond to these effects?
Well, for the most part, they didn't like it one bit. The Great Depression soon hit the United States, and the economy seemingly had no way to recover. Society needed a stiff drink, and so the Association Against Prohibition Amendment, or AAPA, was formed. Lack of funding to enforce the new drug laws combined with rising support for the repeal led to the 21st Amendment, which took effect in 1933, ending Prohibition. And by 1966, every state had repealed their own prohibition laws as well.
Fascinating insight, Ronald.
Cheers.
Oh, cheers. Thank you for your time.
What a riveting interview, Bill.
By now, you are no doubt wondering how all this is related to the war on drugs our country faces today.
Indeed they are, Sam. Today the fight tends to be directed at marijuana, stimulants, narcotics, and a variety of other controlled substances. While the SKBJ News team does not advocate the use of harmful drugs or chemicals, we would like to take a look at the disadvantages of the drug war and the damage that it does to our country.
For a closer look at what we mean, we once again go to our reporter Bill, standing by with an advocacy group called Students for Sensible Drug Policy. Bill, what have you got for us?
Hi, I'm here with Mickey Johnfordson, a member of SSDP, Advocates for Reasonable Drug Laws. Mickey, why would you say the war on drugs can be harmful to our society?
Well, there are several reasons that our organization supports a reformed drug policy. First of all, prisons are being overcrowded with minor offense criminals who are drug offenders, which wastes tax dollars and it doesn't actually prevent crime. When there's a demand, there will be a supply. For every person in jail for drug possession charges, there are countless drug runners who will make sure the demand is met. The drug laws are just simply ineffective at accomplishing their goals.
And what alternatives have you and your group come up with?
That's a great question. Thank you for asking. We believe that money is being wasted on punishment for crimes that are likely too widespread to stop completely all at once. Instead, we believe that more money should be spent to rehabilitate addicts rather than lock them up. Drug addiction is more of a matter of a health problem than actually a vicious crime. Money could also be spent to educate people against the dangers of drugs before they become addicted.
So you're saying we shouldn't punish drug users?
That's not exactly what we mean. We feel as though the punishment doesn't always fit the crime when it comes to drugs. No matter how harsh the sentence, people will still dare to do drugs. We believe in punishing the distributors who are making drugs widely available and getting help for those who need it. Drug users are immediately labeled as criminals, and we think that is a very narrow-minded way of looking at things. There are people with issues, and some might need a little more help than others. If drug laws were more relaxed or just altered, underground trafficking could be cut down. So like I was saying, if the drug laws were more relaxed or just altered, underground trafficking could be cut down and people could become more aware of the dangers of addiction rather than being cast out of normal society.
That's great stuff, Mickey. Good luck in all your endeavors. Back to Sam and Kelsey in the studio.
Well, there you have it, folks. The war on drugs is still in full swing.
It sure is, Kelsey.
I just said that, Sam.
Well, anyways, to conclude this SKBJ special news report, we offer some of our own opinions. Drug abuse is dangerous to individuals and society, and it needs to be controlled. If the ends justify the means, we would tend to side with heavy restriction, but drug availability hasn't been prevented by the laws in place.
No, it hasn't, Sam. There are a lot of druggies out there right now. Drug policy needs to change in order to benefit everyone. lock up the dangerous criminals and kingpin distributors, but educate and help the minor offenders to make the United States a cleaner place. As we saw from the past, banning something overnight is not a reliable way of getting things done, and it costs a ton of money to enforce.
So what can we do? At SKBJ News, we support our open-minded view on how drug problems can be fixed. Drugs have their positive uses, and we need to focus more on exploiting those positives instead of dismissing any type of drug use as evil. We can start by making progress towards policies that will help our whole country.
For all our reporters, experts, interviewees, and crew, I'm Kelsey.
And I'm Sam.
Till next time.
Stay classy, America.
Roll another blunt. Yeah. Oh, la da 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 da. La da da. La da da da. La da da da. La da da da.
We can't
Oh
hold
yeah,
the-
I'm taking notes and telling you the news.
Yeah, that's what you do. You're learning every step of the way.
Go.
Prohibition of alcohol, or simply prohibition, is the laws and enforcement that prohibit the selling and manufacturing of alcoholic beverages.
Are we recording? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
But how do I stop it?
Thanks, fellas. I'm here in early 1900s Washington, D.C. Oh, God, are you kidding me?
It's gonna take so long. It's not your fault. There's so much, like...
With Senator Lisa Paris and her thoughts on the prohibition.
I support. You fucked me up. It was
My bad. On the scene here with Joe Average with his thoughts on prohibition.
Hey, Bill. The government doesn't have no...
How do you know him? You don't know him.
How do you know?
We play Scrabble together sometimes.